What's going on, everybody? This your boy Bliz, and you are now tuned into the Three Count Podcast.
I'm in fashion, heroic
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right, and by now, everybody just say with me, I am your Sherpa, or as you should be saying it, you are my Sherpa. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering, and you see him right there. That's the man, the myth, the legend. He is a photographer. He is a brand builder. He is a supporter. And I am proud to say he is one of my mentors. He is the great and all-powerful Bliz.
Yo, what's going on, Cliff? Glad to be here with you. Talk some wrestling, talk some stuff, just talk some life. That's what we're here for. And let's just add in there just a little bit, the way I got into this. Now, more in the music as well, getting back to that because everything goes full circle, but we will get into that in this podcast.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm so hyped because there's a lot of things that you and I met, right? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Back in 2020, and you took my first photos and stuff like that. And I just remember being scared to take photos, right? And because I was as a new wrestler, you have no idea what you're doing. You're just kind of I just hope this looks cool, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this thing, right? And you were so cool and calm, and I know because you've been around tons of different wrestlers and stuff like that, of all varieties. So you were just man, you know what? Just be easy, just do you and take care of whatever you want to do. And then you were just directing too, and helping me get in these right poses, and I was very grateful for it, man.
Oh man, to me, that's the fun part. Like you said, I mean, everybody when they first do it, they have this envision in their head of this will look cool, this will look cool, this will look cool, and then you get in front of the camera, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Do I do jazz hands? Do I do the point? Do I do the hands on the hip? Or you do Sicken's first pictures where he was so deer in headlights, he did one pose for 20 pictures. So this happens too, but that's why I always say there's a difference between people who take pictures and photographers. People that take pictures, they'll be like, hey, what you got? You give them something, you add them, they're like, all right, cool, next. Photographers, I can't speak for everybody, but most will take the time to guide you to try to find what's your good side, what's your good pose, what's something that you can add to your persona as a wrestler, with something you could do in a ring, with something that could sell merch. It's all about the branding and a person, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in, because I look at it and go, my name's on this too. So I want to make sure that whether you're just starting out, whether you're a Hall of Famer, or whether you've just been in the game for a minute, just want to make sure we have an understanding of making the best product for you, and to make you the best Brandon that you can be.
So just real quick, you have a bunch of static going on with your microphone. I'm not quite sure what's happening, but just
I wonder. It could be because people are texting me, and I'm trying to tell everybody to I'm in the middle of a podcast, just chill out. But this is what happens. You don't get any messages all day. And then when you do something, everybody's like, "Oh, hey, let's talk."
Oh, trust me, I've had that happen a ton of time on the show, all the time. It's crazy, to see how you're just I've planned this whole thing out. You guys just shut it down, and no one does. Emergencies all the time.
Exactly. So, in the world of wrestling, cards subject to change is how I look at things. So hopefully they'll get the message, because I don't like to check my phone during podcasts and all that. But hopefully it's hey man, I'm doing something.
But getting back into it, right? So we'll talk more into the second year, you came through and we did more pictures, and I felt you and I, it was a full collab. The first time, it was you directing me and telling me hey man, these are what you should do, try this, try that. And the second time it was just a whole different entity, because at this time now I had actual tights, I had a ring attire, I just had a full different look. And I remember it was a comment you made. You're you just seem like you're more in character now. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's definitely where we're supposed to be at.
Yeah, well, and that's what one of the things that I noticed that you were more comfortable in your skin of the character. So in order to show the world that you're more comfortable, you have to find ways to, you have to find the ways to showcase that. And you can't always do that in the ring. So, as whether it's social media, whether it's merch, whether it's whatever, you have to show everybody what you're trying to express in your character. So that second time, you were like, all right, here's the idea. This is what I like to do. This is this. This is that. This is that. And I'm like, all right, this sounds good. But let's take this and move it to this. And let's do this and do it to this. And then it was just, like you said, it was like two minds thinking one thing. And for me, it made me kind of proud because it let me know, like, oh, wow, like, yeah, he gets this wrestling thing. He's taking it serious. Because a lot of people, they won't really, I mean, not a lot, but there are some people they won't take it serious. You'll get people that don't want to shoot with certain people because they're like, oh, we get the clout. This will help us get clout, or it'll help us with the name and all that. And that's not what it's really about, because in the end of the day, it's your brand. You're the one that's got to go on the ring, So I could tell that you had really sat down and thought about what you wanted the Red Dog character to be, and this time instead of thinking inside the box, you were willing to go outside of it and show off a little bit of the uncomfortability to make a comfortable picture, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's something like I love like being able to talk with you and stuff like that whenever we do get the chance to talk shop, because you said it best, right? Like it is a brand and you're building your brand. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things I think about a lot, man, is like what goes into building a brand and what's the most important elements of it, right? Mm-hmm. And at points, to me, I think like the biggest thing is authenticity, right? Like if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel like the character's authentic, it's probably not. It's coming off fake, and everybody can see it. And I feel like recently, like even like within like the last 6 months, like a lot of people have come to me. They're like, man, like your character resonates with a lot of people. And I'm like, the reason why is because some of it is the character and a lot of it is just me finally being able to express like who I want to be. And I shouldn't say 6 months, but like last 10 months, it's just been that way. And I've been able to like open up, and even in like some of like the headshots that people see, they're just like, this is not like your ordinary type of mercenary that we see here.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think in wrestling, the best characters are the ones that have a mixture of the character and themselves. So once you find that happy medium, I think that's where the success comes from. So with your character, you're not afraid to be goofy. You're not afraid to be serious. You're not afraid to say what you would say if we were on a phone call or on this podcast, but just in the words of how a character would say it.
Right.
So I think that with that, you have to have some kind of thing that's like, oh yeah, man, if I saw that guy down the street, man, I'd talk to him, So I think that when you start to find that's, if you look at all the best characters in wrestling, most of them have a little bit or a lot of them in it. It's just a different name, or, maybe it's a brighter color that they wear, or whatever. But that when you find that mix, I think that's what makes the best characters.
It's one of those things that I enjoy watching you do, right? Is that you legitimately, like, one of my favorite things is like watching you critique other people's, like, whether it's their promos or like just their character or the idea that they're running with. I just love watching you break him down and just be like, listen, like, you have something here. It's very minute, but you need to expand on whatever it is. I remember like you watched somebody cut a promo and you were just like, it's very generic. Try again. I was like, yes, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I don't like to beat around the bush, because I look at it and go, in wrestling, if all you hear is a bunch of yeses, when it's time for you to do something major, you hear that no, it's going to crush everything. So I'm not going to sit there and try to, hurt anybody's feelings or anything, but I'm going to go, hey, like, yeah, this is very generic. This is very wrestler 101. So if I put you in this lineup, how is it going to separate you from the next guy if you guys are saying the same exact thing? Or you'll get things like when I was teaching in a promo class, you would get things where, be like, well, what's your character? And they would be like, I'm dark. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like the Bray Wyatt type dark. And I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? Because if we want Bray Wyatt type of dark, we'll just get it from Bray Wyatt.
Right.
So, but it's always a thing of like, you have to find that separation. It's just like, your character's a mercenary. There's another mercenary in wrestling, but I can tell the difference between you two. You call yourself Red Dog. It has meaning to it. There's another Red Dog in wrestling, and his name has meaning to it. So it's like, what do you do to separate yourself from the pack and to also gain interest to get you to where you want to be? And I think a lot of that you got to get that with promos, you got to get that with graphics, you got to get that with social media presentation, you got to get that with 8x10s, everything. You have to think about that, because if you go with the flow and then all that's thrown in your face, you're going to be a deer in headlights and you're not going to know what to do.
Yeah. And I think the other part too is that what's funny is like me myself, like the shoot person Cliff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like always afraid to put up pictures, always afraid
Mm-hmm.
to like tweet out something, always
Mm-hmm.
afraid to like put up that Facebook post, whatever it is, right? Just something. But
Mm-hmm.
when I decide, like, I'm like, I'm gonna post this as Red Dog and just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so weird to have that feeling of that melting fear feeling go away. I'm like, if people get mad at me, I'm like, bro, it wasn't me.
Yeah,
It was Red Dog.
It was Red Dog.
It was Red Dog. That's how like I feel like I decipher myself from everything. Like, I just legitimately put my heart on my sleeve with that character, and I'm just like, whatever. Let's just see what happens. Fuck it. And then you see a lot of people like respond to it, and it's definitely unique. Especially you brought it up about like how do you decipher like your promos from others, right? And I think about that a lot because I've seen people who cut these, and I used to do it too. No disrespect to people who do it and can just get it over, right? I wasn't one of those people, but it was like these guys are all like, yeah, I'm a mercenary, and on this day at this time, you and I will be going one-on-one. And I was like, everybody who's military does that, right? Or everybody who wants to be like that killer type does that. That's why I like people like Keith, right? The bounty hunter himself, because he has this unique look and this unique talk and this style. And I'm just like, yo, his promos, I'm like, I was like, because he has like that Clint Eastwood kind of like old Western sound. I'm like, I love the bounty. And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, how do I decipher myself from that? Because if someone's like, I can go with that hunter or this hunter, I'm gonna go with that one because he just has this cleaner look to him. So I was like, let me change this up and do more of a comedy, thanks to someone like Deadpool.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I feel like your character reminds me a lot of Deadpool. Just even the mannerisms, the things that is said, and in the long run too. Like you know, as long as you have a concept of right from wrong, just in life, period. Like if it's like, would I say this in front of my parents? Or if I was in a group, would I, do this action? If you know that the answer is no, then even in character, you shouldn't say it. If you know, it's like, well, I don't know if I should do this. And like, even with promos, I always, there's two things that I look for in promos when they start out. And the first one is somebody grabs a microphone and they go, and you start off like that. I'm like, here we go. Or if in the middle of a promo or at the beginning of the promo, they're like, and give that really nervous laugh. I'm like, yeah, like we're gonna have to fix that, So I think it's an art. I think it's an art of how to do promos. I'm not saying there's a right and wrong. I'm just saying there's a ear catching, and there's we've seen this before. It's just like in music, right? Like back. And it's going to make me sound old, but like back in my day, it was always like the record companies, they listen to like the first bar. They listen to the beginning of a song. And if it don't catch them by the beginning, they'll just turn it off. So I take that when I teach promos and go, all right, what's that first line it doesn't have to be like, you don't start the promo off with if you smell what the Rock is cooking. But it's like, what was the delivery and how was what you said going to catch the audience? Because that's the most important. Yes, you should have a line at the end, but unless you are as gifted and talented as the Steve Austins, the MJFs, the Rocks, and you have a line that you can say at the end, you have to be able to pull a person or persons in order to make the promo captive for either your character against your opponent or the match you're trying to set up.
Yeah, it's one thing because as I keep thinking of like ideas of like how I want to cut promos and do them right, and everybody who watches like any of my promos, they're all kind of structured the same, but they're not filmed the same way. So I try to make them like as quick catching as I can, because like I think one time I cut a promo pretending it was like Full House, like Disney, like that. I'd put a laugh track in there. It's like one of my favorite promos I cut.
Yeah.
And then I remember another one I did. I was writing a letter to Prince Machiavelli, and in the promo, it was funny because like the idea was that I got him tights for a match that we were running, right? But in the promo, I got the idea from our opponents, right? Because our opponents called us a hot cup of coffee, and they were acting like Macho Man. So I took the promo and I was like, I didn't know what color tights to get you until they called us a hot cup of coffee, and then I put black and a little bit of white in it because cream always rises to the top. And then I was like, is that racist? I think that's racist.
Oh my God.
How does one person get canceled?
Oh my goodness.
But the best part was like, how does one person get canceled? Is there a button to get canceled? Do you push the button one time, or do many people push the button one time? And like, it's in the promo, and I was like, this has to stay because it's too funny. And like,
oh my goodness,
I put it out, and you would not believe how many people came back to me, and they're like, dude, this is like such a great, like, that was like their favorite moment was talking about this button.
Well, and I look at what you said, and just listening to that. And what you said in a promo, and the first thing that comes to my head is the amount of people that are probably thinking the same thing. There are probably a lot of people that, if they were saying that, they were like, man, I don't know if this would work. I don't know this. Will it get this? So that becomes the relatability part of it, because now you've come into something that's in character and it is humorous, but when they turn it off, they're thinking to themselves like, well, shit, like, is it? And now you got people's mind wondering. And in all honesty, you're doing something, it's not like you're trying to, do anything that's racist or anything like that. It's like, no, this is a legit question, So there's a difference, creative, that was, I wasn't expecting that. And when I say that doesn't mean like, God damn, Red Dog, your promos suck. No, it's just like, no. In my brain, as you said it, I was like, like, did he get away with it? But I was like, I'm not going to ask, so.
Yeah, I just kept getting message after message, and people were like, I got messages from a lot of different people who were like, how do you get canceled? I'm just like, I don't know. I just put it out there. I love doing those kind of promos where it's like, because like the one thing I love about Red Dog is that no one knows his real origin story. So like, I'll always change the story because it's it's a play off of Heath Ledger, right, when he was Joker from The Dark Knight. And I think about those things where it's like, if no one knows what the real story is, when I tell the real story, they're not going to believe that that's the real story. They're just going to be like, that's another one. And I just like, I enjoy that mysterious factor about what I can do with a character like that.
Yeah, well, and the thing about that is too, if you change up everything when you retire, you can be like, oh, so the real story is, and then just have the screen go black. So it's small things like that, and then it's like, you never told us what your story is, and you're like, it's in the video, and you don't know that the screen went black. You're like, no, like, it's in the video. So it's
just Soprano the ending.
Yeah, exactly. And then like 30 years later, be like, the meaning behind that was, so Oh man, I still get very perturbed about that ending, but neither here nor there. You can make as many prequels and sequels and whatever you want. I'm still like, nah, bro. I remember sitting on the couch with that ending, like,
Yeah, I
so
remember.
yeah, man.
I remember my dad being so upset because he was like invested. We're talking like
Mhm.
from the first episode, just invested. And when it ended, he was like, never watching another show again in its entirety. He's like, I'm
because
just gonna give up.
it's because stuff like that is heartbreaking, man. Like, like shows like they just redeem themselves with like Dexter, right? Like when Dexter first ended, I was like, this is one of the greatest shows ever. And then I got that ended, and I was like, I'll never watch this show ever again in life. I hate this show. All because of ending. And then years later, it's like, hey, we have to like make a season to redeem ourselves. Because there are people like your dad that'll be like, you know what, I'll never watch TV again. Period. Like I'm only gonna watch sports. Because like you just don't play with the human emotion like that.
Nah,
So that's why, and I know we're super off topic, but that's why like shows like Spartacus and Banshee, like I think Banshee's like the greatest show ever made in life, because it's like you satisfied me with the ending and I never saw a bad episode.
right.
So and that's how I look at wrestling. Like if you're going to do this, like I mean, nobody's going to be perfect except for Kurt Hennig. So it's like at least make it a satisfying story.
Right.
So
You got to build you got to build your brand, and then you got to be true to your brand, but then
mhm.
also know like you're gonna have missteps, but just keep plugging away because people are invested in your brand, which is kind of cool that we just took it from like TV. I'm gonna wrap it around to another question I was gonna ask. So, what
Mhm.
is like the most important part in building a brand? Because when you look at Bliz, Bliz Photography, right? Like you have shot a who's list of everybody up and down, right?
Mhm.
And you've built this incredible brand. So I'm just curious, like what makes how would you what was your big advice to give to people about building a brand?
The biggest advice that I would give to people is you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't thoroughly believe in yourself, then how is anybody else going to believe in you? So and trust me that it's not just some, well, not for most people. I can't speak for everybody, but for a lot of people, it's hard to thoroughly believe in yourself. Whether you get a bunch of no's, whether you just feel like somebody else is better than you, or you're not getting the responses that you thought you would have gotten, everything. We're human. We go through doubts. But if you don't believe in yourself, there's no way anybody else can believe in you. Like when I look at everything that I did in photography, that I do in photography, you know, I am man enough to say, like, look, I'm not the best photographer out there. If people want to say I am, that's fine. I thank you. I think that there are photographers better than me, and even when I see them, I give their respects. Like I think, and I look, this is showing the selflessness. I think Speedy is like hands down the best. Yeah, Speedy at AEW. I think Jay Lee Photography is probably right up there, one of the best. And every time I see those people, I'm like, yo, you guys are the best in the game. Like you guys do photography proud. Um, but I am very high, where I'm like, my editing is top notch, because it's at a level of it won't make you look like claymation. It won't make you look like an Instagram filter, but it'll make you look presentable realistically and to another level. But that still doesn't mean that I don't think like, oh, well, these guys are better than me, so I'm nothing. No, I've been doing this 14 years. Like I know where I stand in it, and the facts prove it. So that's the other biggest thing. Like once you start to get things where I always tell everybody, when facts can back you up, you can say what you want. So if Red Dog has a career and you're a former IWGP heavyweight champion, a Royal Rumble winner, and a two-time AEW TNT champion, then if you go to somebody and they go, what have you done? You're not that good. You can go, if I'm not that good, then why did I just win the IWGP championship? nobody can fault you because it's just facts. So once you have the facts to back it up, that's when the confidence comes. But the number one rule is you have to believe in what you're selling, and you have to also know that everybody's road is different. You know, my road is not the same as Speedy's road. J Lee Photography is not their road is not the same as Modern Myths. You know, like we're all different. So you have to have that understanding, and you have to also accept we are humans as well. So there are going to be days where you'll be talking to the sick or something. You'll be like, man, I can't believe this dude got signed. Like I've been doing it longer than him. How did he get signed? Vent that out to your friends. Don't vent it out on social media. No. Vent it out onto your close circle. Let that out, but then realize their roads are different. And in the end, show love, man. Like show love. And I'm sorry for talking, but I wanna just give another example. Like and we'll get into this, but like with my music, I did Mia Yim's theme recently. And she debuted with Impact, and she had put out a tweet about her inner circle and how we helped and all that. And there was a tweet that was, basically somebody saying like, well, they preferred another rapper over me, and that's fine. Like it's not gonna hurt my feelings. That's fine. But the other rapper that he mentioned actually tweeted back and was like, hey, thanks for the love, but we're all in the same field. Much respect to Bliz for what he does, and I want to see everybody win. That's what I'm talking about the togetherness of wrestling, because he didn't have to do that. He could have been like, yeah, see, I'm the best. Not saying that's the attitude that he has, because it's not. But for somebody to come out and say, no, man, give this guy respect because I respect him. We're all in the same field. That's the type of stuff that I'm on. And that's the type of stuff that I think that, should be more in wrestling. But you don't see it all the time. So when you do see it, accept it, respect it, and love it while you can.
Yeah, that's why I feel like for this show, like not a lot of people are going to be like, what? Like everybody I bring on the show, like I've had a genuine connection with, and it matters, right? And like, it's crazy to think that there's going to be people out there who like, and I try and I tell everybody like, I will be your biggest supporter, right? I'll be a big cheerleader for you. But the funny thing is, and you said it right there at the end, right? That not everybody is going to be your biggest cheerleader. And I'm like, that's kind of a bitter pill to swallow. Like, that you're going to be out there, you're supporting as many people as you can, but they're not doing the same for you. And I ended up realizing that it's going to sound funny when I picked up a bunch of my friends' t-shirts and I just didn't see the love get back to me. And I was like, bet I'm going to remember all of this stuff whenever we go forward, because as much as you guys think I'm marking for you guys, I'm actually just supporting you guys. But the fact that I'm not going to get that love back, that's cool. I was like, fuck me for trying to be your friend like that. But it is what it is. But, you find a lot of people who are jaded. And I'm like, whatever. I'm going to keep continue to support the people I support. And I'm going to keep pushing forward. And anybody who's been back in my corner from like the day I started to currently where I'm at to where I will be in like 10 years. I'm not going to forget whoever was there and who wasn't there. I'm just going to be like, hey, yo, man, like, no, go support that person. Go get that person right there. Yeah. Like, I remember I had a video go viral on TikTok, right? And we're talking like 140,000 people like were looking at this video. And somebody in the comment wrote, this video is getting more views than the video that it came from, because I was just duetting a person's video. And right underneath that person's comment, I wrote, then go support that person. Yeah. I was like, yo, go show them love then. Yeah. Like, don't come here and bitch to me about like how, I can't believe you have more views. It's like, go get that person, because I did. I was like, I liked it, and I commented on that dude's post. I was like, I just thought that was necessary. I was like, I'm gonna show this dude love too.
And it's also when you break it down, without that guy's post, your post would have never happened.
Exactly.
And trust me, like you said, it's a very hard pill to swallow, man. Like, I done seen a lot of my friends, that, like you said, whether it was starting in photography, whether it was helping them build their brand, helping them with promos, giving them wrestling moves, whatever, like helping them from the ground up and seeing them make it, or seeing you go over a promo with them and then they take it to TV and it's on TV and it's a success, and you don't get the love back, it cuts deep. And it's it's kind of a mind trick too, because like I said, we're all human, and there will be times where, and this doesn't just happen to me, it's happened to a lot of people, where you'll be sitting there, you'll be like, well, why am I still here? Like what, how is it that everybody's somewhere else and I'm still here? And you just start questioning things. But it's all about how you handle it, and I look at things, and 14 years is a long time, and we were at Sicken's house yesterday, Sunday, and it was a couple people over there, like Andino and a couple people, and Sicken's like, yeah, let me show you this Always Bet on Black video. So like he's showing them the video, and when you look at it, and it's like, God damn, this was 14 years ago, and I'm just sitting there, and he's like, this song is still great, and da 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 da. And I had two moments go in my head of, God damn, 14 years and nothing yet. And then the other one is like, oh my gosh, look at how much they're enjoying this. And it still holds up. So it becomes that fight of which means the most to you, you know? So that's what that is.
So we're gonna hard switch to another topic. You brought it up, and I'm very curious about it. So, like you said, right, you're back in the music game. You had Mia Yim debut on Impact with your song. I'm just curious, man. Like, what brought you back into it, and then like, where do you see yourself going for it?
What brought me back into it seriously was one of my closest friends, and I do a lot of my music with him, Sir Tizzy, and his cousin Ronald. They are known as Catch the Fade. Sir Tizzy brought me back like full time during the pandemic. He called me and he's like, "Hey man, AEW hit us up. Hit me up. I want you on this track. Like they want a song from us." And we did Lee Johnson's theme. And just from there, it was just like, man, I haven't done this in a while. And it's funny how people say wrestling goes full circle. I got into wrestling by music, going up to Ruckus's table, going, I want to do your music. And him going, yeah, okay. And then doing it. And then, bam, he brings me in and everything else falls. But once we got that AEW thing, then we did the AEW album that came out in February. And I was blessed enough to be on 3 songs. Nyla Rose's song, Anthony Ogogo, Kiera Hogan's. And then it just was like, my friend Sir Tizzy, I'm just going to call him Tizzy. He was just like, nah, man, you need to come back, period. He's like, just come back. And the fun of writing music again. It was just fun again, and we just started doing it. And, I remember I was just talking to Mia. Mia's one of my closest friends. And I was like, look, Ronald had this idea a long time ago when you're in WWE. Like, we wanted to do your song. You always wanted to do it. I was like, I think it'd be the perfect time. And then myself, him, Tizzy, and Tizzy's sister, who's a producer, we put the song together. And, now it's just like, so many people. We just did a song for a wrestler named Tim Spriggs. And just it's just fun. That's what it comes down to. So, just putting together this album, and it has a special host on it, and it's just like that creative thing. Like, for people like me in wrestling that don't actually wrestle, it was always taught to do as many things as possible. So that's why when we met, Nick's like, oh, he's a photographer, and he's a booker, and he's a producer, and he's an agent, and he does this, and he probably cooks eggs in the back. That's why, I want to put as much stuff on my resume and all of that, so there's no denying it. Because in the end, the most important thing to a lot of people is the wrestling that happens in the ring. And they forget about everything that makes the wrestling happen in the ring. Without the photographer can't give a picture to your graphic artist. Without your graphic artist, you can't have a graphic. Without the lighting crew, there's no lights. If nobody puts a ring up, there's no ring. If there's nobody on commentary, if there's nobody sweeps up a building, everybody comes together to make the wrestling happen.
Yeah.
And for me, putting all that, and especially the teaching and all of that, I feel like that was important to me to make, once again, what makes you stand out from everybody else. So that's with the music. Once again, it's just the fun. It's fun. It's fun. And if people say you're talented, and I think I'm pretty goddamn good with my wordplay. So, I'm gonna showcase it. Why not? It's 2022. Just showcase it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I feel like there's like a lot of people out there who are always like scared to take that first step. And the one thing that I kind of learned myself, right, was and you hit it right on the head. Learn as much as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like recently, I don't know if you saw the graphic or not for it was for 1CW as well as Fight Club Pro Wrestling, right? It was Andino and Billy Dixon for the Chocolate City Championship.
Oh, yes, I was there for CCW because that's where I work. So got to see that live.
And I made the graphic card for it.
Oh, look at you, smart man! Nice.
It was cool. It was cool when because like what happened, and I could put the story out there, right? I actually had Nick Anarchy make Andino and I's graphic card, which was fire. And I had put together a graphic card too for Andino and I, and mine wasn't as good as Anarchy's, right? So I sent it over. I sent my graphic card to Andino because he was like, "Hey, I need you to make me a graphic card for this one." And I was like, "Well," I'll show you the one I did for us, and then we can kind of go from there. And he's like, "Bet, let's do it." So then all of a sudden, like I started playing with the ideas and stuff, and then he started giving me ideas, and this is where like we started collaborating back and forth about what we were gonna do. And finally, like the final product you saw was like just two minds just getting together, and we just made this like awesome graphic card, and I just sent it over to him. Next thing you know, it's on, it's on 1CW, and it's part of Adino, and Adino has his following that's like going crazy right now. And then I saw Fight Club Pro Fight Club Pro Wrestling like put it up, and I was like, dude, like this thing is actually getting some traction to it. I was like, all right. I was like, cool, maybe like I'm on to something with this, and that's very important.
It's very important. I think you taking that risk is a good thing, and it's even just like with Andino, like Billy Dixon is huge too. That was the first time I got to meet Billy Dixon, and so many people are like, "Where you guys meet? You guys didn't meet." We thought you guys would have been to each other, and getting to really talk to him and all that. He's a brilliant mind, and anything that gets your toes wet, is always a good thing. And if this is something that you have talent in, there's so many doors to open for wrestling. It's just getting led to the door. And I think the most important thing in wrestling that a lot of people don't do, or they don't do correctly, which is weird, is communication. All it takes is communication. And a lot of people, I don't know, they just have a problem communicating right. But like you said, you and Andino did this beautiful thing called communication. Then this other thing called listening. And you put something together. Like two things you learned as a kid. But sometimes in wrestling, people act like it's like gold. What do you mean there's a gold mine? There's no gold mine around here. What do you mean communication? That's stupid.
Right. And I was super excited like once that came out, and I was like, damn, dude, like this is a part of something that's kind of big and huge, right? Because obviously this is a Chocolate City, it's the second champion like ever to hold this title. And I was like, yo, I'm just glad that I get to be a part of like this cool history. And I just, put it out there. And then I saw, obviously Johnny Cross and them like all put out there. They're like, yeah, credits to Red Dog. And I was like, oh, my heart. So I was like, I'm gonna keep trying to do this and try to learn, because I was like, I'm very basic and I know that, right? So I'm like, yo, I'm just keep playing, experimenting, keep making. I made another graphic card for Honorary Wrestling Federation, HWF, out of Lewistown, Pennsylvania, and I like put that graphic card out there now too, so people can see like the new match that's coming up. It is me, I'll be honest, I'm selfish about it, but I don't care. But I wanted to put it out there, so I did, and I got the approval from the promoter, so I was like, "Bet I'm gonna do it."
Yeah, like look, if that door is open, why not walk through it? That's how I look at it. That's how it happened with CCW, where it's like I knew the owner of CCW for years. We hadn't talked in a very long time. And a friend of ours kind of put us back in communication, and he opened that door. He's like, "You want to do backstage coordinator?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's right up my alley." Like right up my alley. And that all happened because a door was open and we did communication. It's like, to me, it's like Pee Wee Herman. It's like Pee Wee's Playhouse. Like, what's the word of the day? Communication. So yeah, so like that's all it takes, people, is communication. So
That was so cool too, like going into 1CW and then seeing you there and then just like reconnecting, because I was like, hey, shit, it's Bliz, what's up?
Yeah, because I was looking, I was like, huh, that looks like Cliff. And then I heard you laugh. Funny enough, I heard you laugh. I said, oh, that is Cliff. And it's like when I'm at those shows, like, I'm not going to say I'm laser focused, but I'm just worried. I'm not worried, but I'm more so like, all right, we got to get CCW rolling. It's no offense to 1CW, but I'm employed by CCW. So I'm like, I'm looking at the card. I'm like, all right, this is enough time. And I think that the show that I saw you in, yes, it was a gauntlet match that we were doing. And like for some of the, like one of the girls, it was her first ever gauntlet match. It was the first time and I was like, all right, let me make sure I get this time right. So it's just a lot of things. But when I saw you there, I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, like, yes, like I hope he gets some kind of opportunity. I can see him work live, and then I can critique him in his face, So, but 1CW, I think that's a good opportunity. When we went there last week, I had a student of mine. He just wanted to ride up. He was like, look, I want to ride up. I help you with CCW and all that. He got on the show. He got on there, and they opened that door for him and a couple of the guys that I used to work with, and seeing them grow. So once again, it's key word, communication.
Yeah, it sucked because I was supposed to be, so like it's funny because like there was a lot of things, we'll talk more about it behind the scenes, but there was a lot of things that fell, and I was like, it is what it is. So
yeah. I know you had a couple things happen because and Sick, it was like, yeah, he's like, Cliff won't be at the house Sunday, and then he told me, I'm like, oh yeah, tell him to stay his ass home. So
yep, got touched by the blessings of C22 because we ain't calling it C19.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's hitting everybody. We were supposed to go to the studio, matter of fact, yesterday to record some new music, and one of the people was like, yo, I got it. And I was like, damn, I was like, blessings, bro. Yeah. I don't want to go through that again. So thank you for telling me.
But I just want to kind of move in this. What's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn since being in the business?
Patience with time is one of the hardest lessons, just because you're always you hear this so much in life, don't worry, your time is coming, or it's just not your time yet, or you hear a lot of these cliche things, and it's not until you really get older where you realize like you do have to have patience. And it's sometimes it is very hard, especially if you're in like a really bad predicament. I mean, gas is like $2,599 a gallon. Food is like $2,500 a pop. Bills are going to still be high. There's a lot of things, or a lot of us, some of us, we deal with stuff that could lead to depression, and different types of form of the depression, and you got to believe, you got to believe, and not to give up. And I think another lesson too is like you got to be able to accept that you can't put faith in everybody, because sometimes it can be someone you grew up with. It can be someone you brought into the business. It could be, I don't know, an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend with it, and they can let you down, and then the flip side of that is somebody you least expect can be the one to help you out the most. So it's just, I always tell people, keep a very tight in a circle and be prepared. Be prepared for yeses and nos. You got to know how to take them both, because you ain't going to get one answer all the time.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. Like I've had like experiences now, like where I've gone out and reached out to bookers and stuff like that, and had people tell me, "Yeah, we'll take a look at you," or "No, we're not ready yet," or "No, our card is full." It's cool. I'm always, or you get left on red. It happens too. I'm
Happens all
just
the
like,
time.
whatever.
Yeah,
As I
yeah.
keep it moving.
Yeah, man. It happens all the time. Like, I've been at shows. I won't say the show names, but like I've been at shows, and there'll be people that you think you're really close with, and the opportunity is right there, and they'll just be like, oh yeah, this is my boy. And then you'll run into somebody that you might not have seen in a long time, and they'll go and be like, hey, have you met Bliz yet? Let me tell you, man, like back in the day, he used to book me. He gave me this and this and this and this. And oh my goodness, have you listened to this? Or you seen this? Like, I just don't understand why he's here. And the whole time you're like, I can't believe this person's doing this.
Right.
And you would expect it from somebody else. But you also have to know in those times, never, one of the things I tell people is don't expect anybody to do anything for you. Because in the end, you got to do it yourself. If people want to vouch and help out, that's awesome. But in the end, you got to be ready to do everything yourself, period.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So listen, like those are like all like really kind of like the heavy hitting topics that I like wanted to get into, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we do got to get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast.
Oh, gosh.
And I shouldn't say the second best, but this is the best part, my favorite part. But if you ask Chaz, it's the second best because his favorite is the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find every Sunday on our debate show. But this is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. And Mr. Bliz, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. And whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
Does it have to be like one word answers?
No. It doesn't have to be one word answers.
Okay. I won't go into super details.
I was like, but you'll probably be like, you know what? Word. Oh,
okay.
So we're going to put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Last Dragon.
Yes. Let's go. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation. Hold up. Time out. Who would even ask this question? PlayStation. The other one doesn't exist.
Yeah.
All right, next.
If you follow me on Twitter, one of my friends was like, I was like, listen, I have an Xbox and I have a PlayStation. I enjoy them both. And he was just like, well, good for you and your trash box. I was like, first of all, its name is Pandora. Okay. And he's just like, well, you have fun with your Xbox. It's like, don't talk about my girlfriend's vagina.
Oh my gosh. If you would have said that to me and you would have looked and it was like, Bliz has blocked you. Yeah, you just got straight blocked. Oh, you got the black and green box? Nah, it's like how people treat Android users or vice versa. Like, oh, you're an iPhone user or you're an Android? No, nothing to do with you.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, but we gotta go. Yeah. Favorite cartoon?
Hong Kong Phooey.
Let's go. Mm-hmm. Yes, all day. Your favorite question right now: Apple or Android?
Apple. Who is a green bubble? Are you a green bubble?
Yeah, it's right there. I am team Android for life.
Oh my goodness! Please help this man's soul. Help his soul. I really like Cliff. Please help his soul.
I have a PlayStation and an Xbox and a Switch and an Android, and I also have Apple products in my house. Yeah, my house. I'm well versed.
Yeah. Well, look. I have a Switch too. The Switch held me over for a long time until I was able to finally get a PS5. So my Switch is getting nothing for love. I'm playing Happy's Humble Burger Farm right now. Switch, I love you.
All right. What's your favorite lens?
Any prime lens, really.
All right. So then, Sonic or Mario?
That's a good one. Oh man. Oh gosh. I feel like my Switch isn't gonna work if I say what I want to say. I'm gonna say Sonic. Yo, switch. Yo, don't mess up my farm on Animal Crossing. But I'm gonna say Sonic. ABACABB, the first Sonic the Hedgehog code.
Right? I'm
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, up, down, down, left, right. No,
Left.
up, down, down, left, right, ABAC start. And that's Sonic 2 that gets you in your back menu.
There you go.
Yo, favorite podcast.
Besides the 3 Count podcast, it would be Busted Open's podcast. And Movie Schmovie from by my friend Ronald. But go ahead.
Okay, bet. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
I would like to know. See, he might have already been on it. Has Andino already been on it?
Yeah, and Dina's been on it.
Okay. I would like to see Willow Nightingale. Has she been on it?
Yeah, actually, we'll talk about that too. I've had her on.
Okay. All right. I would like to see Kayla Sparks.
Let's go. Yes, I'm 100% with this one.
There you go. The happiest person I've ever met in the locker room my entire life.
You know, I'm gonna tell you this, right? And I'll tell her this the day I have her on the podcast, right? Because that's coming. I don't know when, but I definitely make
Put it in the universe. Put it in the universe.
I've talked to her. Like I've talked to her actually when we met at the CCW.
Yeah,
I talked to her and I was like, "Yo, I want to bring her on a podcast." She's like, "Yeah." To be real, the craziest thing about Kayla Sparks, right, is that I have always been told, like you have this kind of personality that people just gravitate to.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time that I felt that way about somebody, and I was like, "Oh, this wants to be what everybody's talking about," because like she's so nice and so kind, and then I just found myself like, I don't know about you, but I've never met you before, but you have like this positive energy that radiates off you.
Anytime she's around, like I can be having a bad day and I'll see her and she can say dolphin, whatever. You can say whatever. And she just smiles. And it's just like, all right, you know what? If she's this happy, life must be good. Right. So it's genuine too. Like I hope she gets all of the world that she wants.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And last but not least, my favorite question asked every single person who comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
Oh man, and there's a ton of them. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with the shit cuss word. Because you'll hear me say that a lot more because what a lot of people don't know about me, and have you ever had Robbie Marino or Rob Sicard or what is his name? Robbie Illuminati now?
Yes.
Have you had him on this show?
Yes.
Okay, he'll tell you this story. When him and I first met, like Blackout and all that, I used to didn't cuss. I didn't say like fuck. I never said it. Never. And it wasn't until I started working with a company that drove me insane that I started saying it again. And I remember he thought like something was wrong with me. He's like, what's going on? Like he was genuinely like, yo, like, do we need to go to the hospital or something? So I would say shit because it always stayed in my repertoire.
Yeah. And you know what? It can mean a whole bunch of stuff. Like
and you can say it on national TV now.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. AEW is just like, we allow one for it's usually in the second hour.
Yeah. So, and it's crazy because I forgot I was watching something on TV and it was like more of a happy go lucky show, and just out of the blue they were like, yeah, that's bullshit. And I was like, well, I guess this is good. So yeah. So that's my answer.
Yeah, so those are all my questions that I have for you. But the last thing I need is for you to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram or on Twitter under It's Bliz, ITSBLIZ. That's where you'll find me. I'll be opening up my YouTube stuff very soon, along with all my digital platforms for streaming music. I'm going to make that announcement very soon. I know a lot of people think that it's just like a next day thing, but it's actually a process. So when that happens, I'll report that out, and then you can listen to all your favorite music by me and my crew.
Bet. There you have it. So he gave you the handles. He told you what you can do. You can check out his music here soon. But like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take it home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And like I said, I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And you see him right there, the man, the myth, the legend, the one known as Bliz. So you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for that outro, and then you choose another episode to listen to. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3count_pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3count podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3count pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.